Hey everyone, I'm doing another thing because we didn't do the blast court thing. Yeah. Is it going to be the same thing as last time, only with a different game and different questions? Maybe different questions, because knowing our fans, they probably won't be different at all. They'll just be the same questions again. Oh, fuck, I don't want two Canes in there. So yeah, this is just a placeholder because we didn't do the blast court thing yet. So I'm just going to play another Royal Rumble in a wrestling game. How exciting. First question, do you still like Paige? Of course I still like Paige. She's gorgeous. You know, no one really cares about the Divas characters. Like, yeah, it's annoying that Paige is, like, just stupid now. But I still get to look at her, and that's really, you know, that's all I care about. Pat Patterson is whooping my ass. Who would you have win the 2016 Royal Rumble match? Batista or Goldberg? That's the truth. No one on the current roster is really good enough, in my opinion. I've always wondered what you guys think of Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is at least honest about the fact that he's a socialist. I think his supporters are more of the problem because they don't seem to care. In fact, they actually believe him when he says he'll get them their stuff for free. If you people actually think that, then I'm sorry, you've been punked. And there's actual math out there that, you know, kind of proves that he can't give you their things for free. But that's for a different video. What's your guys' favorite games on the original Xbox? MVP Baseball 2005, probably. Oh, fuck. Hardcore Holly's gonna eliminate the big... Oh, thank you, boss, man. Yeah, MVP Baseball 2005, or there was this game, it was like one of those games that the military uses to train soldiers. It was called Full Spectrum Warrior 10 Hammers. It's a really bizarre title, but the game itself was really fun. Sergio Flores, should Wade Barrett's boring ass be released? Hell fucking yes it should. The guy's garbage. SmarkBusters, back in the Monday Night Wars, were you WCW fans or WWF fans? I was 2 years old. I know Lefty was a WCW fan. My parents are WCW fans. I was like 2, so I was more of a poop in my pants fan. I did have WCW toys, though. I had what was his name? Giant Hollywood Hogan and Scott Hall figures, so I guess that makes me a WCW fan. Looking back on all of that stuff, if I was my age back then and I was watching, I would have liked both shows, but I probably would have been a WWF fan. So, I hope that answers your question to a satisfactory degree. What would you do if Ziggler and Breeze fucked each other live on Raw like Edge and Lita? That would be the thing that makes me stop watching. How about that? Because quite frankly, they're coming over here and they're putting forth the gay agenda, okay? Come over here. What you think of when WWE spoiled the Hall of Fames early this year? Wow, grammar. I thought it was stupid, but, you know, I didn't really care all that much. They kind of spoiled it on the Austin podcast when Vince just said Macho Man was getting in, so, you know. Would you watch a live SmackDown? No. Why would I do that? Why would I subject myself to that? It's the same shit, live or not. What do you think of today's punk songs and rock songs? Today's music as a whole blows. I don't even like old punk songs, so how do you like that? How do you feel about Fallout 4? Are you going to play it? No, I'm not excited for Fallout 4. I don't really play any of the Fallout games. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but it's the truth. Why did The Rock come out so early in this Rumble? I just realized he was here and he's kicking my ass! Fuck! The Rock just punched me. Aaron Loves WWE and TNA wants to know my thoughts on the World Series. I dig it so far. Because I hate the Mets, and I really like the Royals. Whatever, will I do a rant on NXT? That's hopefully going to be our next video. So stay tuned. That's probably going to be another video we never make, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm playing as Farouk now, and when I was little, I thought his name was pronounced Farco, because I didn't know how to read. Real thoughts on Aaron Loves WWE and TNA. It's a quality-made channel. You have the rare gift of being able to troll with very few people realizing that you're trolling, which is why that hangout we were both in was so much fun for me. I had to mute my microphone because I was laughing so hard. Those are my real thoughts. Thoughts on shitty modern jokes like 21, What Are Those, and D's Nuts. I don't know what 2 out of the 3 of those things are. I know D's Nuts, and I don't think it's funny. Overall, I think modern everything sucks, and that's not me being a hipster. That's just me, you know, being an old soul, I suppose. And when I say modern things, that includes the 90s, because the 90s blew too, okay? Aside from wrestling and baseball, the 90s just sucked. Musically, culturally, everything was gay. Last time things were cool was the 1950s when Ward Cleaver and June Cleaver ruled the house. Okay, where are we at now? Do you ever play Zombies and World at War Black Ops? No, I wasn't big into the Treyarch games, and only the Treyarch games had zombies. I know Lefty enjoyed it quite a bit. What are your thoughts on people who claim Cena never buried people? That they're stupid. That's really all I have to say about that. Oh, look, it's Matt Hardy before he was a big fat waste of space. But he's a asset to any company. He's a asset to any company. He's a asset to any company. Do you think the Mets have a chance to come back from an 0-2 deficit and win the World Series? I'm gonna say no. All of my predictions have been wrong so far, so this may be the kiss of death for the Royals, but the Mets have just been playing like utter shit these last 2 games. I think they're just outmatched. Oh, they're coming home to City. Yeah, City is hardly a home field advantage, okay? No one can hit there. They had to bring the fences in how many times in like 2 years because no one can fucking stand hitting there. It's not a real home field advantage. The Royals have got this in the bag, I think. I really hope the Mets don't come back and win now because then Glenn Ryan will never let me hear the end of it. Do you think it's lame that people are saying Netflix and chill, quote, wait, hold on, I can't fucking read. Do you think is lame that people are saying that Netflix and chill, quote? I don't really know what it means. Does it just mean come over, watch Netflix, and then we'll violently fuck in the bedroom afterwards? Is that what that means? I guess it's kind of lame. I mean, if you're doing that, then, you know, that's really good for you, but if you're talking about doing it on Facebook, then that's pretty fucking lame. Is 2015 the worst year in the wrestling business? It certainly is. I didn't think anything can be worse than last year, but at least last year there were good things. They just happened to get ruined. This year there was just nothing to get ruined. Everything just fucking blows. I have to scroll down now. Forgive me. If you had to choose between Neville and Ziggler to be IC champion, who'd you pick? Probably Neville, because he looks like he could hurt someone just because he's so ridiculously muscular. So he has that. He still looks gay, but he looks a little bit less gay. So, you know. Fuck, I have to click the see more button. Why do people have to write such long questions? I know this ain't a mini rantathon, but this can still be considered a question. Can you rant on the women who claim to want equality for all genders, yet claim it's okay for girls... Did I just counter without looking? Wow. Where did I leave off? Okay for all girls to kick men in the balls, but find it atrocious for a girl to get slapped by a man with total disregard for what the woman did. In other words, fuck, man. Can you rant about those who condone women doing whatever the hell they want to a man while thinking that a man doesn't have the right to defend himself? I'm going to go out on a limb and say a man does not really have the right. Well, he has the right, but, you know, he shouldn't hit a woman. I don't care what she does to him. If you're getting legitimately hurt by a woman to the point where you need to defend yourself, that's your fucking fault for being a pussy. You shouldn't let the woman get that, you know. If you're getting the shit kicked out of you by a woman, that's your fucking fault. I don't think you should punch women or slap women or choke women or do nothing, you know. She can't hurt you, and if she does, it's your problem. In terms of everything else, women that, you know, the double standard that feminists want to go with, I agree with you, just not the hitting thing. You know, don't hit women. That's not a cool thing. Marital rape is where it's at. You know, do that in place of hitting them. What's the worst song you ever heard, asks the Trap Queen. Anything by Coheed and Cambria. They're so fucking horrible. The singers can't sing. He sings like... That's what the singer sounds like. I hate that fucking distorted guitar chugging away in the background. It's just fucking the same crap as everything else. I hate them. They're horrible. Very neckbeardy band, but that's besides the point. Would you ever eat something out of the garbage? Depends on what it is, how recently it was put in the garbage, and what else is in the garbage. You know? I'm not gonna say no. I'm getting eliminated by China, folks. Goddamn. What kind of porn do you watch? Gay porn. Gay midget porn. Because that's what WWE is these days. So every time I watch Raw. How about that? Rant about boycott Star Wars. I don't really understand why that's a thing, because as far as I can tell, there's really only one black actor in it. I'm playing as Michael P.S. Hayes, folks. They got that John Boyega guy, and then everyone else seems white. And the chick is pretty hot. But, you know... What I'm going to rant about is the fact that people are angry that this hashtag is a thing. Because I know if the roles were reversed and it was black people saying to boycott it, no one would have a problem. Because everyone has to pretend that black people are never wrong about anything. So that's what I'm more angry about. The fact that people are angry that this is a thing. Because, you know, it's about time white people started causing some racial ruckuses instead of just the black people, you know? We have rights too, even though there are more white people in the movie than black people, as far as I can tell. Viscera just tried to murder China. Did anyone else see that? Whatever. Kyle Bruschetto, would you like to see Steve Cropper versus Daniel Bryan at Mania 32? Hell fucking yes I would. Steve Cropper's the man, and if he were to break a guitar over Daniel Bryan's head, that might just do it for me. It might save the company. Now, you mentioned that you preferred the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy over the new modern movies. Since Captain America Civil War is coming out next year and Spider-Man is going to be in it, would you still... why can't I move? Oh, I hit the Z button. That turns you into an AI. I forgot. Hold on. I don't know how to get out of this mode now. I'm stuck as an AI. Whatever. I'll just let that go. If Marvel hired Tobey Maguire to come back as Spider-Man, would you watch the movie? Yeah. I might actually mark out for that. I hate using wrestling terms for not wrestling things, but that was the only phrase that came to mind. I don't know how to get back in control of this character. Oh, here we go. Okay, but yeah, I would definitely watch if Tobey Maguire came back as Spider-Man. I'd rather just see Spider-Man 4, though. You know? I'm tired of all these gay reboots. Jake Lewis, have you ever been to a WWE or any promotion event? No. I just don't really have enough interest in wrestling to go see it live. I'd rather just watch it on TV so you can hear the commentary and, you know, better camera angles and shit. You know, it's not like going to a Yankee game where you're like, wow, this is Yankee Stadium where all these great players played. It's like, oh, here's some smelly arena that a bunch of wrestlers are in. Like, it's not that important to me where I would go see it live, especially these days when it just fucking sucks. Turning the tables on the questions you once asked me, in which group did Graham Parsons perform his best music? This Birds, Burritos, Submarine Band, or Solo? You know what, Jake Lewis, that question warms the cockles of my cock. I mean heart, but you know, they're all really different. The Submarine Band has its own appeal because it's like very early Graham, and it was pretty traditional as far as like on the country rock spectrum. It's more on the country side of it. And John Cornell is a legit founder of the genre, and they had a really good guitar player, and it's some of Chris Etheridge's earliest bass work. So the Submarine Band is great. Graham had great songs for it and a great choice of covers. They only have one album, though, but they're really great. The Byrds, again, very, very limited in terms of Graham Parsons' contributions directly. He indirectly influenced them more than anybody, but as far as Graham actually performing with them, not very much to go on, but it's still some of his best work. I just can't really consider it, like, you know, the quintessential, you have to listen to this if you're a fan of Graham Parsons. Burrito Brothers is his most famous work, probably his best in terms of songwriting with Chris Hillman. He was really into drugs and alcohol at that point, though, so you can really tell on his voice. He's singing with that high registered voice that's kind of out of his range on a lot of songs. That was the drugs. But it's still probably his best work in terms of songwriting, and he does put out some pretty good vocal performances. But overall, the best Graham, in my opinion, is the solo Graham. He had kind of cleaned up. His voice was sounding great. He had a great band behind him. Even the Fallen Angels were good, so just listen to California Cotton Fields from the live album, and you'll understand why I really like, you know, solo Graham the best. 3-part questions. Fuck you. What do you think about the trending bullshit on Facebook? Oh my god, everything that trends is just sickening, and I usually post the stupidest things that I see trending on Facebook. Your top 10 bird songs, that is such a hard question because I've tried to make a playlist in the past of my top 50, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't narrow it down to 50. So if I can't narrow it down to 50, how am I supposed to narrow it down to 10? Plus, this is going to sound so gay, but I have to differentiate between live and studio versions because they sound so radically different. You know, like the studio version of My Back Pages I fucking hate. But when you hear the live, the Good Birds doing it live, it's like a different song. So it's too hard to do. Yeah. Best album, though, is Live at Royal Albert Hall 1971. So there you go. That's somewhat of a cop-out, but I can't do 10. Worst movie that you ever saw? That is a hard question. This answer probably changes every day, but for now it's Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Because nobody no one on the face of the planet wants to look at Diane Keaton naked, no matter how horny you are. The movie has no story. It's ugly. There's gay people in it, so that's a reason not to watch it. I'm just kidding about that part. The gay people are actually portrayed as weird psychopaths, which is a little bit disturbing, but It's probably the worst movie ever made, and for some reason people really like it, and I don't know why. Looking for Mr. Goodbar, check it out. Or don't check it out, because it's the worst. What are your thoughts on smoking weed and drinking alcohol? I don't care if you smoke weed. I think it's stupid, but, like, everyone does it, so I'm not gonna, like, oh, you smoke weed? Oh, we can't be friends now. It's like, no, everybody smokes weed. I don't really give a shit. Drinking alcohol, I don't care either. If you're like, oh, we're gonna down some brewskis, then you're dope. But if you wanna, you know, just have a drink, have a nice dram of scotch or something, that's fine. Drink all you want. I don't really give a flying fuck. And you shouldn't care if I give a fuck anyway, because I'm just some dumb asshole. You should answer the questions while playing WrestleMania 2000. Well, how about that? Who do you expect to be future endeavored by WWE within the next year? Definitely Jack Swagger, because they just took his manager away and have no intention of ever putting him on TV again. How about that? Oh, fuck. D'Lo's on the apron already. Goodbye, D'Lo. Go back to Aces and Eights, you fraud. As I slam Viscera, because Michael Hayes can live Viscera, and now he's violently punching him. How about that? Where did I leave off? Who, in your opinion, should win the Royal Rumble? Batista or Goldberg? If you want someone from the current roster, then how about Roman Reigns? Because he's the only one who's been booked well, kind of. He hasn't been doing anything with Wyatt, but, you know, I like the fact that he's #1 contender. Omega Magic, what's up? Right now, what would be a great main event for Mania 32 and why? Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. We need that done the right way. You know, we got cock teased the last time. Let's get a real one. KKD, is Finn Balor the future like Seth Rollins? I hope not. That's all I really have to say. Would it be better if Jack Swagger, a goddamn real American wrestler, or hell, Kurt Angle wins the U.S. title? Would it be better than what? Than Del Rio? Anything's better than Del Rio. But Kurt Angle's doing MMA now. I hope he beats CM Punk. I know you said you don't really listen to any rock bands after 78, but are there any after 78 that you might have considered? 78 was just like a guesstimate. No, I'm sure there are some. I do listen to a few from after, like, into the 80s, but they're bands that usually are some way related to bands from, like, the 60s or 70s, for example. Desert Rose Band didn't form till, like, 86, but it's Chris Hillman and Herb Peterson, who've been around since the Byrds and the Dillards and shit, so, you know. That type of shit I will listen to regardless of when it came out. But, you know, just in total, music as a whole took a turn for the worst after 78. Which do you think has been the worst? Wrestling, music, TV, video games, or America, politics? You mean since 78? Everything as a whole has just gone down, not necessarily since 78, but just like as the years go on. Just American culture as a whole blows. We need Ward Cleaver to drink milk at dinner and tell his son to, you know, do good in school and say his prayers. That's what we need. What's your all-star lineup for a rock band? That is such a difficult question, so I'm just going to say Roger McGuinn, Skip Batten, Gene Parsons, and Clarence White. And that's a really good cop-out by me, and I'm really proud of that answer. Why is Gerald Briscoe wrestling in a suit? He just got scoop slammed in the corner, but that's besides the point. Michael Williamson has to leave an 87-line question just to annoy me. To me, it looks like WWE is going to make Rollins more credible. First the clean win over Kane, and then the stare down with Reigns. Is it too late, or better late than never? Are you kidding? That stare down with Reigns, Rollins looked like he was going to cry and poop himself. There was nothing, like, credible about that. And beating Kane means nothing because Kane's a worthless jobber. So, you know. I don't know what show you're watching, Michael Williamson, but you need to accept the fact that Rollins is gone, you know? You're like the people who are saying Glenn is alive. Like, no, man, you gotta stop being in denial and just accept this shit. You know, I'm not knocking you. I'm trying to wake you up. If Ambrose cost Reigns the championship at Survivor Series, would being a heel bring coolness back to Ambrose? Not inherently. He'd have to start, you know, doing cool shit, and he'd have to do things that make me forget about the hot dog incident, which probably isn't going to happen. Would you be excited for a Shield triple threat match closing WrestleMania? As they all stand right now, absolutely not. I'm sure it would be a fun match to watch on the most, you know, simple level of, oh, look what they're doing. But I don't care about any of them. They're boring as fuck, and they're ruined. Except for, like, Reigns isn't completely ruined, so I guess maybe I'd have the incentive of rooting for him over the other ruined jobbers, but, like, that's not why you watch wrestling. Did Lefty invite you to his wedding? No, Lefty didn't invite anyone to his wedding. What he did is him and Mrs. Lefty went up to the Ozarks and got married by a one-armed preacher man. And their only witness was a red-bone hound who just happened to stroll by. I'm not even sure if the wedding is legally recognized, but no one was invited. When are you getting married? I live in a basement and I'm as scared of girls. I think they're icky and they have cooties, so I'm probably never going to get married. I've never been with a woman! Do you have a favorite video besides Fun in a Cell? The Raw review subtitled Fuck Cole. And any response we made to Alucard. Those are great. Michael Williamson is again leaving a question that I had to click the see more button on because he has no respect for me or what I'm trying to accomplish here. What do you think of these ways to try and save ruined characters? Reigns, don't have him talk much and just kick ass on TV. Yeah, that works. I have to deal with that. Rollins, win cleanly and look more dominant. See, that's a double-edged sword, though, because if you have him win clean and look dominant, then it makes no sense, because then why bother having him look like a jobber all this time? What does that mean? Is he a good wrestler, or isn't he? Why was he a jobber? See, it makes no sense to just have him start doing that. He's basically ruined forever. Ambrose, stop having him have a comedic side. I mean, again, that only goes so far. If he just all of a sudden is serious, then it's like, okay, well, why was he doing this hot dog shit? What is his character? It makes no sense. Here comes the savior of TNA, who's going to get skull-crushing finale'd. Because I'm the Miz and I'm queer! Let's see if I can pin him from that. Cesaro, kind of like Reigns, where he doesn't talk much and have his actions speak louder than his words. Oh, fuck, he just punched me in my nuts. That's kind of what Cesaro's doing now, though. He doesn't talk much, and he has his actions speak louder than his words. The problem is his actions are all gay. Wyatt, just have him win. No, he's been a jobber. To just have him win wouldn't make any sense. You'd have to, like, re-legitimize his character first, which is impossible. So basically, you should just release Wyatt, because it's clear he's not going to work. Last one. Michael Williamson, you're starting to bother me. I'm just kidding. Who is more tolerable out of the three? Bryan, Ziggler, or Cody Rhodes / Stardust? I know you formed this question because you thought I'd say Bryan, so just to be an asshole, I'm going to say Stardust, because at least I can get a laugh out of how retarded he is. There's nothing to laugh at about Bryan. He's the worst wrestler of all time besides The Miz. Chicago Wrestle Talk, how would I book an Ambrose heel turn? I wouldn't. I would have all of the Shield together still as faces. If I had to do an Ambrose heel turn, I would, wait for like a year with the Shield still together and have him be the one who breaks it up, because obviously Rollins did not work out at all. JKD, did Benoit really murder his family and kill himself? No, JKD. I murdered Benoit and his family. How about that? Thoughts on David Hasselhoff? I have absolutely no thoughts on David Hasselhoff. I don't really care about David Hasselhoff. He was funny in the SpongeBob movie, though. Did you play Simpsons Hit and Run? No, I've played regular Hit and Run, where I just drive around in a car and run over Korean families. Do you think Rollins should have stayed a face after the Shield breakup? I don't think the Shield should have broken up at all, period. What's your favorite Elimination Chamber match? I'm so bad at remembering years, but it's the one with Goldberg and Triple H and Evolution fucked Goldberg. I don't know what year that was. I'm going to guess maybe 2002 or 3. I don't really remember. Are you going to watch the new Star Wars? Fuck yeah, I'm going to watch the new Star Wars. Which of the Knights of the Old Republic games is your favorite? If you asked me that like 6 months ago, I would have said the first one. But I recently played the restored content mod on the second one, and man, when that game is complete and you're playing the full story, I think it's better. There's so many, like, those games are the perfect way to take something and make the material dark and violent without ruining it. The second game is all about war and violence and how horrible the whole everything is, and all the characters are horribly depressed people, and it still has like lighthearted fun to it. It's a great game. I think the second one might be better. And I never thought I'd say that, but I played the full one, and man, I recommend the restored content mod to anyone who has the PC version. Shin Walker, if you've already done it, then fuck it, but if you haven't, do you think that Roman should win the belt? Yeah, he sure should win the belt. On the current roster, who else deserves it? I'll answer that for you. Absolutely fucking nobody. Who do you think is the most overrated actor? I don't know. Meryl Streep. There. What do you think of left-wing news outlets? I hate them with a burning passion. If I showed up at your house, what would you do? I'd murder you and bury you under the floorboards and use your carcass as a rape tool. What? Do you like the James Bond movies? Yeah, I like some of them. GoldenEye was okay. I like the Sean Connery ones. Casino Royale was really good because Eva Green almost shows her tits in like every scene, and she's just so attractive. General Jerry, do you think Dean Ambrose will be WWE champ one day? Yeah, they'll give him the belt one day, maybe. Unless he's like raping Stephanie in the back, and that's why his booking has been so horrible. But, you know, I think they kind of have to because they don't have any, like, they hardly have anyone else who could kind of have it. Like, even though he sucks, people seem to see him as a star, so I think the company would be kind of dumb not to. Just not right now, because he's a fucking jobber. Mr. McCoy, where my tree fitty at? It's up your ass, Mr. McCoy. That's where it is. It's up your fucking black ass. Do you think any of these What do you think of any of Ben Carson's recent comments? I don't understand why that Holocaust one is so horribly controversial, because it's absolutely true. If all of the Jews were armed, how the fuck would they have been rounded up into camps and killed? Why do you think Hitler's first order of business was to disarm everybody? To answer that. Is there anyone in NXT you enjoy? I don't watch NXT, so no. I mean, if I did watch NXT, I doubt I would derive any enjoyment from it. I'm going to make a video about NXT, though. I don't want to spoil... Oh, wow, The Undertaker. Wow, I went from Michael Hayes to the fucking Undertaker. That's badass. Who is the least credible? Shanzu, Poston, Alucard, or the Wrestling Otaku? Who the hell is the Wrestling Otaku? I've never heard of this person. I'm just kidding. Alucard, definitely. If you watch our responses to him, you can clearly see that the guy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. You know, there's no entertainment to be derived from that cocksucker either. You can laugh at Shanzu, you can laugh at Poston, you can really laugh at the Wrestling Otaku. There's nothing about Alucard that's funny. He's just a stupid asshole. Do you watch Lucha Underground? No. What if Michael Sean Polston would have answered the John Cena U.S. Open Challenge instead of Alberto Del Rio at Hell in the Cell? Hell yeah, I would have rooted hard for Polston. That would have been hysterical, actually. Wow, I just realized, if Polston was a wrestler and he'd come out and open every show with a promo, that's the stuff dreams are made of. You know, quite frankly, I'm gonna come over here, and I just want to say that this guy is gonna sit there and say all this motherfucking shit. I mean, like, think about that opening Raw every week. Wow, I'm going to finish the questions before I finish the Rumble. How about that? What are the worst fan bases, wrestling and non-wrestling, in the history of humanity? Wrestling-wise, it's Daniel Bryan. Non-wrestling-wise, probably Bernie Sanders. I'm done with the questions now, so, you know, I don't think watching me sit here and play this game silently is going to entertain anyone, and I'm not talented enough to talk entertainingly over this, unless I'm just talking about country rock, which none of you care about. So I might just end the video now. I hope The Undertaker wins this. I don't think Thrasher really has a chance, but he's here now. Oh, wait, I could talk about something, because a CD just came in the mail. It's a 4-in-1 Country Gazette CD. It features the albums Country Gazette Live, Out to Lunch, What a Way to Make a Living, and something else that I can't see because I'm not really looking at it. I'm trying to play the game at the same time. But yeah, the Country Gazette was cool because after Bernie Ledden left the Flying Burrito Brothers, the lineup was Chris Hillman, Rick Roberts, Michael Clark, and Sneaky. Sneaky left shortly after that, so Chris Hillman's like, fuck, I don't have a band because Rick Roberts kind of sucks. Michael Clark really fucking sucks. What am I going to do when we have to do concerts and shit? So what he did was, he got a bunch of his bluegrass pals, Roger Bush on upright bass, Byron Berline on fiddle, who had previously been in the Dillards, and, what's-his-face, Kenny Wirtz on guitar. Kenny Wirtz was in the Scottsville Squirrel Barkers with Chris Hillman in 1963. Roger Bush was in the Kentucky Colonels with Clarence White around the same time. So he got all of them, he got Al Perkins to play pedal steel, and they released a live album called The Last of the Red Hot Burritos, which was supposed to be like a farewell of the Flying Burrito Brothers until they reformed with different people in 1975, but I'm getting ahead of myself. After the Burritos broke up, Roger Bush, Kenny Wirtz, and Byron Berline were like, wow, we're really good at playing bluegrass. Maybe we should get our buddy Al Mundy to come in and play banjo, and we can have a band called the Country Gazette, and that's exactly what happened. And then they released 2 albums called The Traitor in Our Midst and Don't Give Up Your Day Job, which are great. And then who left? I think, did Byron Berline leave and get replaced by Roland White? I don't know. Roland White, Clarence's brother, who was also in the Kentucky Colonels, joined the band. on mandolin and guitar. And then I think that's the lineup that these 4 albums came from. And I'm very excited to have this because I never heard it. They do a cover of Graham Parsons' Still Feelin' Blue, which is worth the price in and of itself. Quality set from a quality band. You know, none of you care. I probably should have ended this video before I started all that. Jeff Jarrett's kicking The Undertaker's ass, and no one wants to see that, so I'm going to beam out now. I just made a Star Trek reference, even though most people wouldn't realize that was actually a Watch Dogs Central reference. You think I'm a Trekkie? I'm not. Although I did have that Spock shirt. Fuck Cody Rhodes.